Welcome back to my Final Fantasy XIV drama series. Today's drama story is about I'm done with you, Raiders. If you enjoy these kinds of videos, don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button. At the very beginning of the pandemic, an IRL friend of mine convinced me to try the Final Fantasy XIV free trial back when it was capped to level 35. As soon as I reached the trial cap, I wanted to keep playing, so I bought the base game, and the rest is history. Once I had the full game, my friend suggested I join their FC, so I did. I was shy and I had a strong MMO anxiety. Final Fantasy XIV is my first MMO RPG, so I didn't interact with many people outside of my friends at first. But everyone in the FC was friendly and helped me as I progressed through the game. When I finally caught up and reached endgame in Shadowbringers, I started joining in FC events such as mount farms, map parties, etc. I made more friends and slowly grew out of my performance anxiety and got better and better at the game until I was finally confident enough to try Savage and joined a static for the final Eden tier. Our FC had a rule that didn't allow FC statics, meaning members couldn't create or join a static with exclusively FC members. This rule was created due to some drama long prior of me joining. I knew the rules, so I had joined a static I had found in another Discord. I cleared the tier and the static went on hiatus after everyone got their bis. One night, I was talking to an FC friend about Savages and expressed my desire to try healing. Previously, I was a DPS. This friend also wanted to do Savages, so we decided to create our own static. We got 3 other FC friends, 2 non-FC friends, and even recruited someone in Party Finder. We finally started raiding together a couple of weeks later and had a blast progging, and after 4 months, we cleared the tier. This static was the main thing that kept most of us logging in during the drought before Endwalker. So even after we finished the tier, we went back to do old Savages for mounts and glam and just to hang out because we were all friends having a good time. The FC slowly became less active as the drought wore on, and the more active FC members took breaks or logged on only for Savages or ultimate raids. I used to be someone who was super active in the FC and even became a mentor officer of sorts and used to go to every FC event. But outside of raiding, I didn't have much interest in joining FC events anymore. This was the case for my FC static mates as well. So we joined less of these FC events. And here's where the drama starts building. We had about 3 to 4 regularly scheduled FC events per week, usually doing the weekly normal or alliance raids, a map party, and a mount farm party. We used to have full parties for these events, but it slowly dwindled until only the FC leader and one of the officers would sign up. And because of the lack of interest, these events would keep getting cancelled. Despite this, the same events would be on our schedule every week. And every week they were cancelled more often than not. Our FC leader was growing more and more frustrated and bitter about this. The few times I did join events, I could tell he was salty about low participation, which made the atmosphere less fun and made me want to join even less. But he never directly told me or my FC static mates or other FC members that there was an issue in our participation in statics. He did ask the officers and mentors to help run some events, but not many could help due to scheduling conflicts, work, or IRL issues. When Endwalker launched, the scheduled events were put on hold for a couple of weeks. They returned after a bit, and though the FC had some more activity in it, it wasn't as active as it used to be, and the event participation was still low. Finally, the first Endwalker raid tier was about to launch, and that week when he posted the schedule, he decided to add an extra note. He wrote, "For those in statics, inform said statics that your attendance in this FC event and future raids is needed. I have been very tolerant of Savage Ultimate and Baja parties. That leniency is now ending for all members, including officers. If your static has a schedule, submit it to me. I will try to work around them, but static members must be free at least 2 days a week to participate in FC events. I am done canceling my plans to allow for static parties. Static members will dance to my tune, or the members will face the consequences. Needless to say, I was pretty upset at this, so I decided I should message him directly. I sent a message and said it was unfair to demand and require members to set aside time to participate in FC events, and that I understood the low participation was difficult to deal with, but people should be able to do what they want to do with their free time. I even explained my own busy schedule, disinterest in most of the FC events, and that the few times I did join, I felt some tension, which made me not ever want to go again. The message was pretty long, and not even 10 seconds after I sent it, by the way, much too short for him to even read the entirety of my message, he replied, "I'm done with statics. They were never allowed from the start, and I overlooked participation in them, but they have started to cut into all events, and I'm done with that. I have said all along that I make allowances for participation based on life, school, and work. I have stood and begged and pleaded for people to attend events or give me schedules so I could work around theirs, and no one bothered to answer. I made a community calendar, and no one bothered to use it. The fact that I have to threaten people with discharge to get any response shows how far I've gone to be understanding." I responded with, "No, the fact that you have to threaten people means you have not been clear enough with your expectations of the members. It's understood that in this FC statics are not allowed. But if too many people participating in statics is an issue, bring that up first before trying to tell people they must participate. You're trying to dictate people's free time otherwise." He went on to say that if a member is in a static, they can't participate in FC events. So why are they in the FC? He also shared that he wants the FC to feel like a community and not just a bunch of random people with the same tag. I told him no one is obligated to do what they don't want to do. And if he has an issue with people in statics, he should be upfront and say, if your static conflicts with the FC schedule, leave the FC. I had prior issues with his communication because I felt he was never direct about issues he had, and instead made vague passive-aggressive posts about things that needed to change. The conversation became me trying to tell him that he was not communicating his desires for the FC clearly. I questioned his reasons for being vague and indirect rather than addressing issues and people directly. He told me that ultimately it's his FC and he does what he wants. He also said that if I try to start drama, he will discharge me. I told him that I wasn't trying to start drama and just wanted to discuss his decisions about the FC, as he was the FC leader and had the most power. He told me to go through one of the officers if I wanted to discuss more. I said, "I think you should step down as the FC leader," which is probably the most disrespectful/hurtful thing I said to him during this conversation. He answered with, "Congrats, you win a prize," and shared some really personal info that was meant to guilt trip me. I stood by my words and the conversation ended. He made no follow-up announcement and nothing happened for a while. A couple of weeks later, an officer made an announcement asking for feedback from members on how to improve the FC. Myself plus 3 to 4 other current and ex-members gave some pretty detailed feedback and suggestions, though the officers said they would keep everything in mind and try to implement some of the suggestions. A few months passed and there was no notable change. Once I had collected enough XP squadron manuals for leveling my alt jobs, I finally left the FC. I said goodbye in our vacation/farewell channel on Discord. I didn't mention anything about my issues with the leader in the farewell message and simply said I was looking for something different and was always willing to help out any of the members and friends I made in the FC. Within 12 hours, I no longer had the FC member role in the Discord and was demoted to guest, despite some ex-members that left months prior still having their FC member role. I only shared my story with my closest friends, including the one who brought me into the game, and never told any other FC members until they had left the FC on their own. or asked me why I left, because I didn't really want to start any drama. I loved that FC. It's where I started my journey in Final Fantasy XIV and met my best friends in life. I did truly want the best for the members and hope they all continue having fun with the game. I am still in that FC's Discord, though it's muted, and I can tell that a lot more members left after I did, and participation is still low to this day. Even though I butted heads with the leader, I hope he can also learn to relax and stop stressing about the FC so much, because I've been in a similar position before. My first static disbanded, but I joined a new one, and that's amazing, and now I'm progging P8S. The static I created with my friends has had some member changes, but it's still going strong, and we recently cleared P5S. I raid 5 nights a week and have lots of fun. My friend that got me into FF14 created an FC, and I am now part of that. And though we're super small, we're really chill. The end. Dude, I have to agree, I like small FCs for this specific reason. I think when you're part of a big FC and you see that people aren't really like doing anything, or it feels quite quiet or dead in the chat, I could definitely see how like an FC leader of a big FC starts feeling frustrated, because it's like there's so many members, why is it so quiet? Like they just want to start trying to do stuff, and then like noticing people aren't joining, or they're all busy with their own stuff. I feel like it's so hard to manage a huge FC. Props and kudos to anyone who does it, but like geez, you have to be hella active. You have to be a really active player, have a bunch of active officers and a bunch of active people. Like it's like you need active everything. It's hard. Very, very, very hard. It was very hard to hear that happening, because it's like, oh, you feel for them, but at the same time, you're like, you can't control people. Like if people like to do this in the game or something else, like you can't be like, you must go to the FC event or else you get kicked. I feel like rating changes you as a player in Final Fantasy XIV. I feel this way, but maybe it's not totally true, or maybe you guys think differently. But yeah, I feel like FF14 rating changes some of the Final Fantasy XIV players. Like when I listened to the story and how the OP saw the game differently from when they started into becoming a raider, and also looking at my own experience, I would definitely say how I was before when I began the game was different to how I am now. Like I remember going to my first FC's events and enjoying all the little interactions, all the giveaways, like even all these little emotes that people did to me and like talking to me. But when I started raiding, and how like intense and exciting and all the adrenaline because of the new content, it's such a high, especially when you play with your friends in raids. And when raiding is done and you go back to the normal Final Fantasy XIV game, you're like, what now? And sometimes the other things in the game seem so mundane, and you're like just waiting for the next patch. That's when you know like you have raider brain now. Like it almost creates this like natural divide of like raider players to non-raider players, because like raiders don't appreciate the things that non-raiders do, and non-raiders don't appreciate the things that raiders do. So I feel like the story might be like an example, a little bit of that. The FC leader sounded like he did not raid at all, and the OP, it was a raider. And so that's why the OP felt like they didn't want to really join on those other things in the game anymore. All right, let me see what chat has to say. Dude is on a power trip. Why are people like this? That's how you destroy your FC. Agree. Guarantee the FC doesn't exist anymore. Probably not. Yeah, reminds me of one of my past FC leaders. Same, my past FC leader was trippin' too. I feel like everyone in this chat has experienced a bad FC leader. That's the full Final Fantasy XIV experience. Because, okay, I can't blame them. Everyone probably wants to try lead an FC at some point, right? And then you notice, hey, this is probably not for me. This is a lot of work. And not only that, I feel like a lot of people in the FC have to like you, which is a hard thing to do. You have to be a very likable FC leader, right? If nobody likes you, you can't run an FC. Yeah, this honestly hits kind of close to home because of an FC member who couldn't properly communicate. Yeah, communication is key. Oh my god, that's like the #1 solution to a lot of drama stories that I receive. Just communicate. I know it might be a little awkward. You might have anxiety. You might be shy, but just like take your time, think of a message that you could send to whoever you're having drama with, and just like explain your side. And if they don't reply, then at least you did your part and you can move on. If they want to be like childish, let them be childish. Let me know in the comments below what you thought about this Final Fantasy XIV drama story. If you have any of your own drama stories that you'd like me to share and read out anonymously, feel free to reach out to my Discord, discord.gg/Pathra. And a big thank you to my kind members who support my YouTube content.